Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly have kick-ass adventures in deep space. Woo! Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. I'm E-Rod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. This summer, everybody's favorite team of space explorers are back with a vengeance. So I can think of no better time to talk about the film that brought the Trek back to the forefront. J.J. Abrams.
Star Trek.
For the larger portion of my life, I was a Star Wars fan. To me, there was nothing better. The only thing that came close to being as satisfying as this epic sci-fi space opera was Doctor Who. My preteen self didn't see Star Trek as fair competition to the wars. There was just no comparison, and frankly, at the time, I didn't possess the patience nor the attention span for the original series. All of this changed the day my dad showed me Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And let me tell you, Linkara is 100% right. This is one of the greatest genre films ever made, and it propelled me to develop much respect and admiration towards Star Trek. Not enough to consider myself a Trekkie, but enough to give it the attention and admiration it deserves. So in 2007, when I first heard that Paramount was moving forward with a Star Trek prequel movie, I thought it was the absolute worst idea I had ever heard. I mean, the last time they tried to do a Star Trek prequel, it failed miserably. It just seemed like a desperation maneuver to try and save what was at the time a dying franchise, as not only was their last show a failure, but so was their last movie. I saw the first teaser trailer and I shook my head in skepticism, as I never believed that anything good could come out of trying to replicate the original series. And then I saw the second teaser trailer. Holy shit. This was like opening the Ark of the Covenant. This trailer faded my eyebrows. I was in the movie theater when I saw it, and I can't for the life of me tell you what trailer played after this one, as I was left sitting in the dark with my mouth and eyes wide open for a full minute. And then two thoughts broke my trance. Thought number one, if I didn't know diddly shit about Star Trek and someone described it to me, this trailer is exactly the way that I would picture it in my head. And thought number two, I have got to see this fucking movie!
The plot.
The world's first sequel prequel, as it works as a continuation to TNG, where Mr. Spock had become an ambassador. During a mission to save the planet Romulus, Ambassador Spock and the psychotic war criminal Nero are accidentally sent back in time before the events of the original series, therefore creating a new alternate timeline, which helps to debunk any continuity fluxes that Trekkies might complain about. Nero sees this as an opportunity to get revenge on Spock by destroying the Federation and everything that Spock loves earlier in the timeline. So it's up to the young and eager Enterprise crew to stop Nero, fresh out of Starfleet Academy, on what technically is their first mission.
Buckle up. Cast and characters.
This is the area where I genuinely believed that they were going to drop the ball. There was no way that they were going to recreate the magic that was the original cast. But honestly, kudos to the casting director, because they did a spectacular job of assembling the most fantastic cast possible to bring these iconic characters back to life. While I do agree that at times some of the cast members were just doing impersonations of the original characters, at least they weren't bad impersonations and I didn't find them distracting. What I did find distracting was some of those weird cameos in the movie, like Winona Ryder as Spock's mom? Winona's only 6 years older than Zachary Quinto. Is there any particular reason they couldn't get an older actor to play his mom, or at least somebody who looked older? Weird. And then there's Tyler Perry. Did they really expect me to take Tyler Perry seriously during a disciplinary hearing? Cause I can't do that. Especially not after this. The cameo that mattered the most, thankfully, was the one that worked the best, and that I'm sure got most of the skeptical Trekkies on board with this film. Leonard Nimoy as future Spock. This was a stroke of genius by the production team, as even people who don't know anything about Star Trek know who Mr. Spock is. Having him there to give this movie his blessing wasn't just a necessity to cement the film's credibility, but it was that traditional Star Trek rite of passage. very much in the same way as DeForest Kelley appearing in the first episode of TNG, and James Doohan, Walter Koenig, and William Shatner appearing in Star Trek Generations, to send the new crew on their way.
Since my customary farewell would appear oddly self-serving, I shall simply say, good luck.
Now before I move on to the main cast, I have to mention the two very talented actors who played Captain Kirk's parents, Chris Hemsworth and Jennifer Morrison. That's right, Captain James T. Kirk's parents are Thor, the God of Thunder, and Sheriff Emma Swan from Once Upon a Time. Yeah, that sounds about right. We have Bruce freaking Greenwood playing Captain Pike. That is just perfect.
I am relieved.
Eric Bana is absolutely fantastic as the villain, Nero. He is my favorite kind of villain, as his motivations are easy to understand. His homeworld was destroyed along with his wife, and he blames the Federation for not taking the necessary actions to save them, so he wants revenge. He's not your sophisticated scheming villain like Courage or Khan. Nero is insane. He obliterates a whole fleet of fully crewed starships and then talks to Captain Pike like they just sat down to have Sunday tea.
Hello.
I'm Captain Christopher Pike. To whom am I speaking?
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
Eric Bana played this character so well that I really hope to see him play more villains in the future. And now for our central cast. Anton Yelchin as Chekhov and Simon Pegg as Scotty were two of the actors that I felt were just doing impersonations of the original characters at times.
It's an authorization code 95 Victor 2.
But like I said, they were not bad impersonations, and these two guys are very likable.
A maximum more! Push it! I'm giving it all she's got, Captain!
John Cho as Sulu and Zoe Saldana as Uhura, on the other hand, played their characters their own way, and that was fine. Interestingly enough, they gave Uhura a bit more of an attitude in this movie, and frankly, I liked it.
I sure hope you know what you're doing, Captain.
So do I.
If I was the captain, I'd have her report to my ready room for a debriefing. And I do mean a literal debriefing. She is the only cinelinguistics expert on the ship. We would have to meet on a regular basis, you know, to talk about, space and stuff. Anyway, my one real hope for Uhura in Star Trek Into Darkness is to finally see her leave her communications station and fire a phaser or karate chop somebody in the neck. Just really show her capabilities beyond taking Captain Kirk's calls. Even though I was excited about this movie, one aspect that had me on the fence was whom they were going to cast as Dr. McCoy, aka Bones. Cause he is my favorite character, as he would say all the things that I would say if I was one of the crew of the Enterprise.
I made an error in my computations. Oh? This could be an historic occasion.
And boy was I pleased to find out that not only did they get a good actor to play him, but they picked one of my favorite actors, Karl Urban. Karl is awesome.
Nowhere else to go. The ex-wife took the whole damn planet in the divorce. All I got left is my bones.
I've been a fan of his since I saw him play Julius Caesar on Xena Warrior Princess, and I couldn't have picked a better actor to play my favorite character in the Star Trek universe.
Green-blooded hobgoblin.
And now for our leading men. First, we have Zachary Quinto as the present-day Spock. Zachary is unbelievable in this part. His Spock is so good, he can convincingly play him in front of the original. I see them here, and I have no doubt that they are the same character from different timelines. Like I said, it's unbelievable. Plus, Zachary added a bit of subtle sass to his role.
To assist in the effort to re-establish communication with Starfleet. However, if crew morale is better served by my roaming the halls weeping, I will gladly defer to your medical expertise.
Yup, this is one sassy Vulcan. I remember when this movie came out how a lot of Trekkies started bitching because in the alternate timeline, Uhura and Spock have a relationship. Really? This is what the hardcore fans are complaining about. May I remind you that this is the same movie in which the entire planet Vulcan is destroyed. We witnessed the near extinction of the Vulcan people, and that's fine. But Uhura kissing Spock, that's bullshit. How do I feel about it? I'm 100% okay with this. Uhura is a super intelligent, tenacious, sexy young woman. Hell, she's the only woman that is part of the main crew. She could be with any man she chose from that ship, so it makes perfect sense to me that she would pick the very best. The smartest, the strongest, and the most resourceful guy, Spock! As far as I was concerned, this development was simply logical. And last but not least, Mr. Babyface himself, Chris Pine, as one of the absolute greatest sci-fi heroes of all time, Captain James T. Kirk. This was allegedly the hardest part to cast, so out of the 100 or so young actors who auditioned, how exactly did Mr. Pine manage to get the part? Well, I just so happen to have the footage of how he got the role right here. That explains everything! One of the major elements that makes this movie work is Chris Pine as Captain Kirk. He is this cocky, courageous Han Solo type, a gunslinging, womanizing man of action that doesn't believe in a no-win scenario. I understand that in the original cut of this film that Kirk was more of a jerk, up until the moment when Vulcan is destroyed. I'm very grateful that J.J. Abrams opted for the re-edit to make the character more likable. I'm also glad that Chris decided to play the character his own way. After all, this is young Kirk. This is the character before he became the hero that we know, which of course gives Chris a lot of wiggle room to play the character his own way. Which is great, since he's not afraid to show the character mess up from time to time, or look foolish. This Kirk is not perfect. He's not the hero that we want. He's the hero that we need.
Captain, what are you doing?
Show them compassion may be the only way to earn peace with Romulus. It's logic, Spock. Thought you'd like that.
No, not really. Not this time.
Favorite line?
Boy, yeah, there are a lot of great one-liners in this.
Hey, farm boy, maybe you can't count, but there are 4 of us and 1 of you.
So get some more guys, and then it'll be an even fight.
Not to mention, Spock quotes Sherlock Holmes.
If you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
See? He quoted Sherlock Holmes, who is played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays the villain in the next movie? Huh? Sorry, that's my epiphania acting up again. My apologies. But my favorite line is actually when Spock says, "Live long and prosper" to the Vulcan High Council, after they insult him. It's not the line, it's the inflection behind the line. He's not really saying live long and prosper, he's actually saying go fuck yourselves.
Live long and prosper.
Bitches.
Favorite scene?
Even though I love this film and I agree that it is packed with one awesome scene after the other, I was a bit displeased with Scotty's intro scene. It just seemed so rushed and poorly paced. Kirk and old Spock go to him, simply tell him the whole yarn about Spock being from the future, and Scotty's like, okay. Then he agrees to attempt a transwarp teleport, which incidentally almost gets him killed. While I do agree that this could have been much worse, I just wish they would have established Kirk and Scotty's relationship a little bit better, and given far better reasons for Scotty to trust him so eagerly. Other than that, this movie's one kick-ass scene after the other, starting with yet another one of the absolute greatest openings I have ever seen. I don't want to spoil it for any of you who haven't seen it, so all I will say is, if you don't care to see the rest of the movie after this opening scene, then you, my friend, have no soul. But my absolute favorite scene has got to be when Kirk, Sulu, and Olsen do the orbital skydive. I understand that this scene was originally supposed to be in Star Trek Generations, but they cut it out of the movie. And I'm kinda glad, cause they made it 1 billion times more magnificent in this film. I watched this on IMAX, and I was so blown away that I forgot to blink during the entire scene. The sudden dryness of my eyeballs finally snapped me out of it.
Open your chute! Olsen, pull your chute! 1,000 meters!
Final verdict.
A lot of people like to complain how in this film, they promote the characters to their known crew positions way too quickly, and how silly that seems.
Lieutenant, where's Helmsman McKenna?
He has lungworms, sir. He couldn't report to his post. I'm Hikaru Sulu.
Dr. Puri, report.
It's McCoy. Dr. Puri was on deck 6. He's dead.
Then you have just inherited his responsibility as Chief Medical Officer.
Scan Vulcan space, check for any transmissions in Romulan.
Sir, I'm not sure I can distinguish the Romulan language from Vulcan.
What about you? You speak Romulan, Cadet?
Uhura. All 3 dialects, sir.
Uhura, relieve the lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations, Jim. Now we've got no captain and no goddamn first officer to replace him.
Yeah, we do.
What?
Pike made him first officer.
You gotta be kidding me.
Thanks for the support.
Personally, I just saw this as the timeline trying to correct itself after Nero and future Spock changed history and created an alternate reality. But that's just me. In the end, it just doesn't bother me. If this film does something incredibly well, it's not alienating the casual viewers, all the while catering to the hardcore fans. For instance, you actually get to see Kirk's Kobayashi Maru test. That's great!
USS Kobayashi Maru. The ship has lost power and it's stranded. Starfleet Command has ordered us to rescue them.
Starfleet Command has ordered us to rescue them... Captain.
Did they have to put an Orion girl in Starfleet? No, but they did, and they know that means something to the fans. And also, Majel Barrett, the original voice of the computer, is still voicing the computer in this film. Sadly, this was her final role before she passed away, but believe me, her efforts did not go to waste. And lastly, they actually digitally inserted Vasquez rocks into the background. Come on, it doesn't get more Trek than that. 10 points on the badassitude meter. Gather your crew on the bridge, put it on the view screen, and give it a watch. And I know a lot of you are curious to know whether or not I'm looking forward to seeing Star Trek Into Darkness. Do Vulcans have pointy ears? Are you kidding me? Have you seen this trailer? Damn, now that will put hair on your undercarriage. I don't know about you, but I'm headed to the movie theater at Warp Factor 9. Live long and prosper. Join the Legion, suckers!
This is your 35th attempt to elicit an emotional response from me.
You're neither human nor Vulcan and therefore have no place in this universe.
Look, he has human eyes. They look sad, don't they?
Perhaps an emotional response requires physical stimuli. He's a traitor, you know. Your father? For marrying her. That human whore.